How is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to be going over our brand new drip marketed character, which is Feixiao, and she looks absolutely amazing. When it comes to her design, I love this a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I really wonder how she's going to be in the game. But as far as we know, this is our 5-star of 2.4, if I'm not wrong. And she is going to be Wind Hunt, which we haven't seen these elements in a good minute when it comes to having this mixture, which we see right now that she is going to be occupying Dan Heng's space and not really much else. We're going to be looking at a lot of the things in regards to the meta right now, where she could fit in, how strong is she going to be, and realistically, with all the characters we have at the moment, there's definitely going to be some holes that we don't have, and we're about to see exactly what that's going to be. So before we get to all that, make sure you leave a like, comment, sub, all the different types of stuff. Let me know how excited you are, because man, this design looks absolutely amazing in my honest opinion. But going ahead and talking about what we are missing right now. Looking at Wind, for the most part, we see that we have a dot user who's a support, we have healer, we have an AoE unit for DPS, Bronya is a support for hyper carry, Sampo is dot, Dan Heng is a single target DPS. Right now, we don't have anyone that is single target exclusive for the Wind element at the moment, and that is a pretty good thing, because that means there's an actual spot that needs to be filled over someone that's going to be power crept. Now going inside Hunt, and what we have: Buhil god tier single target damage for break. We have Dr. Ratio god tier follow-up damage for the follow-up team. Yanqing is Yanqing. Topaz and Numbi single target damage, but is able to support. And then Sedle being as busted as she is, with having unlimited amount of turns if you play the character right. Su Shang doing the same thing, having a good amount of turns if you play the character correctly. And then Dan Heng is Dan Heng. So the cool thing right now is that we actually don't have not only a Wind character that is a Hunt unit already, but we also are missing a single target DPS for the Wind break as well. Now, the one thing that we need to notice is that ever since we started with Dr. Ratio, or let's say Topaz and Numbi, we haven't had a normal Hunt character in a very long time. Topaz and Numbi started the Hunt path of being able to support while also doing damage. Same way Dr. Ratio stopped that single target nature in a way where you're able to split off damage with his skill, and then using his ultimate on another character, allowing other units to proc his own damage on sub DPS. Same thing with Buhil. He has a monster amount of damage coming from his single target, and I think he was our last traditional Hunt character, where it's just single target damage, you're doing a fat ton of damage to that one character, and that is it. Looking at what we have right now currently for the Hunt class and also for the Wind element, we don't have a lot of full-on single target characters. I think Feixiao this time around is going to be another single target character that's going to specialize in just doing single target damage, because I don't see them currently at the moment putting any more utility besides what we usually know. And of course, I'm not saying that she's going to be literally a 5-star Dan Heng and that's all of what's going to be. No, what we're going to probably see is her being a single target unit, but having some type of capabilities of either being a debuffer or possibly being in some type of sub DPS nature. Because a character right now that is only doing single target damage, if you're not putting out the same amount as Buhil at the current moment, then you're probably not going to be in the best of spots when it comes to value on the characters that are out right now. Buhil's out here doing massive numbers for very little investment, and that is going to be a big thing to know when it comes to what we're going to see with Feixiao, is how good are you going to be with as little investment as possible, and will you actually do enough damage to go against a lot of these better characters? Because remember, we have characters right now that are absolute monsters when it comes to characters like Akron, characters like Firefly, Buhil, Dan Heng, Jing Liu. These are some monster characters that now this DPS has to go against. So there has to be some type of additional utility that she has to be able to compete against the greats that we have at the current moment. And the only way to do that is to do something that is not just damage. Because if you're going against straight raw damage, going against Buhil, going against Akron, going against any of these other characters I listed before, again, it's going to be a very difficult task if you're not pulling out 500Ks, 600Ks, 700Ks against one enemy, because you are limited to that one unit that you're going against because you don't have any AoE. And what we know about Hunt units is that they are single target natured, so they're not going to have AoE onto their kit unless they're ultimate is especially AoE or adjacent. There's not going to be much of clearing about all of these units on the field. So they have a lot to worry about when it comes to Feixiao and exactly what we're going to be seeing for utility wise if it comes to nuking down one enemy at a time with an absurd amount of damage, because that is one route they could go for sure. They can go down the support route with like Topaz and Numbi, where now let's say you go ahead and use the hunt characters that are supporting, so something like Topaz and Numbi, or maybe even make it to like Dr. Ratio. You can make it to where she's a sub DPS and being able to proc her own damage off of everybody else's. These are the only ways that you could possibly compete in that area of expertise for the hunt path, which they always have a, I guess you could say, problem or trouble at the start, trying to figure out if they're able to compete with a lot of these crater characters, because having that destruction path and also having the nihility path where there are right now, they're over here with some of the strongest characters in the game, and of course some of the most broken characters, because we have Firefly and Akron right there, and then we have Danheng and Jingli, who are still some of the best DPS in the game. So seeing what we have a brand new DPS coming into the game and seeing that they are going to be Hunt Wind, she has a lot of competition. In her own element, she doesn't have any. I think in her own element, she will be the next best DPS. As we may know, Blade just isn't the same character we used to know when it comes to his DPS. His scalings aren't the greatest. His AoE damage isn't the best when it comes to his follow-ups and also to his basic attacks and his ultimates. And then Black Swan, although she does amazing damage, she's a support in primary, I guess you could say. Not many people are going to her for straight raw damage, rather for the res pen and also the defense shred that she gives 2 dots or all the other elements in the game. So having our first dedicated wind DPS is going to be very special to have for the wind element, and it's finally going to fill out that roster now that we have the full lineup. Blade is there for AoE, which he's starting to show his age sadly with the meta that we're currently in, just because he doesn't have as much damage as everyone else currently with all the greats that we have in DPS. Ho-Ho is the sustain, Bronya is the support, Black Swan is the support as well for dots, and now we're finally getting our brand new dedicated main DPS for the wind element. This is very exciting, I'm not gonna lie. She looks absolutely amazing. I know we are heading to the low fu now, so it is going to be a very exciting thing to see that we are going back and we're going to see a lot of new characters, and this design is very different from what we've seen a lot of the females run in the low fu, because usually characters like Ting Yun, characters like Yu Kong, all these characters that have come from the low fu have more of a dress setting, I guess you could say, in regards to how they look, and this looks a little bit more, not urban, but this looks a little more modern. This is a really cool take on how these characters look, and it's really nice that they're kind of experimenting with the designs, because like I said, a lot of the characters, if you notice it, for the low fu all usually look the same in regards to the dresses that they wear, which makes sense because they all come from the same place and live in the same spot. Of course they're going to look a little bit the same, but this one actually looks fully different. I really love design, really cool in my honest opinion, and I cannot wait to see what we're going to be looking at in regards to her damage or how her animations look. It looks like she's going to be dealing with some birds or something, because they look like feathers in these art shots right here, or what's around her right now. So if she can command some type of animal, if she can do some cool stuff, that'd be amazing. I just noted that she has a cape, if I'm not wrong. If this is a cape behind her connected to her and it's wrapping up, ooh, that's a little bit too fire. I'm not gonna lie, that's super cool. If she has a cape, that's gonna be fire, because that just looks like huge. But that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll wait to end the video. See y'all guys in the next one, and peace.